What is up, Bat family? Today is Sunday market open. Today we are just going over the news and technical analysis for the week. This is my second time recording this video. The first time was during the Zoom call we had this morning, but for whatever reason there were some audio issues when I was editing the video and could not hear myself at all. So here we are. We're gonna go through this all again. So first things first, starting off with the news on Monday. On Monday, let's see, we don't have too much going on here. Let's go to forexfactory.com. Yeah, not too much. Tuesday, we have lots of news coming up for the week. You can see we have JOLTS job openings for the US dollar, conference board consumer confidence. Later that afternoon, during Asia session, we have Australian dollar consumer price index and Chinese yuan purchasing managers index. Following that on Tuesday afternoon. As well on Tuesday during London session we have GDP growth rate for Germany as well as Italy, as well as the Euro USD. High impact news for all three countries, Germany, Italy, and Euro, all GDP growth rates. Mexico GDP growth rate pre-New York Open. We have conference board consumer confidence for US dollar, Australian dollar inflation rates later that afternoon for Asia session, and then France inflation rates year on year. All right, lots of inflation rates for this Tuesday coming up. Wednesday, London Open, we have Germany unemployment rate, we have Germany inflation rates pre-New York Open, we have Fed interest rate decisions and press conference shortly after, right in the middle of New York session. Thursday, core inflation rates for Euro USD, inflation rates for Italy, Bank of England interest rate decision pre-New York Open. Then we have ISM manufacturing purchasing managers index for US dollar. Then Friday is NFP non-farm payroll for USD. That's our high impact news for the US dollar this week to end the week off. So all this week we have high impact news, as you can see here, for all major currencies. More particular on Wednesday we have FOMC statement and federal funds rate, and then non-farm payroll on Friday. So make sure to be aware of all the news upcoming this week. We have a lot, and it's going to be a volatile week here. So to start things off, first things first, we're going to look at gold. Here now, these charts are already marked out because, like I said, I had gone through this and done the analysis earlier today. So what I was seeing here for gold is that gold may see a continuation lower down to the 2000 price range. At this key level of support is 2000, and then this area of demand 2005. So as we can see here, we closed bearish last week. You can see to the right we have on the daily time frame. We go up a little bit higher to the weekly time frame, we can get a better picture of what is going on here. All right, well, if it wants to load. All right, let's give her a minute. Alrighty, here we are. Chart has loaded. So as we can see here, price closed bearish. We are looking for a retest into this area right where this zone is. As you can see how the market just opened and reacted into this area. Ultimately, price closed bearish, and most likely it's going to continue lower. We can see that on the weekly time frame, we would have to break this previous week's high in order for price to move bullish. We can see that we're looking like we're going to continue lower based off of the way the candle closed and how we're opening this week. We opened with no candle wick, just pushed up and saw major rejection from this point, and is ultimately looking just to continue lower here. We can see that we have a clear range demand that's looking to break this higher low, this lower low point with the area of demand that price reacted from, ultimately looking like it's going to break and drive lower to this 2005 and 2000 price point. We can see that price is opening according to plan, as I had when I had recorded this earlier here. This is exactly what we want to see for a bearish continuation move. A good potential entry point to take these sells would be right here on the break of the weekly open, right below 2018. You can get it at 2016, 2017, even the break of 2015. But break of 2017 is pretty solid. Stop loss right above this wick at 2030. Get tapped in once the candle flips bearish, and ultimately target this low here at 2005 and 2000. Now this is just a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio based on momentum, but you can definitely tighten the stop loss and get a better risk reward out of this, you know, if you get a better entry point. But ultimately price is looking to continue lower down to that area of demand, area of support, and so far price is moving according to plan. Got multiple wick rejections, and as you can see, we just got a wick rejection for this new weekly candle here. All that price needs to do is flip below this 2018.5 price range, its weekly open price, and then price may continue moving bearish. Next, let's look at the NASDAQ 100 here. We can see that price is ultimately looking to continue lower. On the right hand side, let's go to the weekly time frame. I'm real picky when it comes to having straight lines, you know, even when it's just slightly off, it just bugs me. So all right, we can see price pushed down, rejected from this level so far, but ultimately what I'm seeing is this particular price movement here that I have drawn with the arrows. Excuse me. Ultimately, I'm seeing price may tap into this area of supply, this retest area price first rejected from last week and pushed down. We may push into that zone one more time here on the left-hand side on the lower time frame. There's two potential areas: one, this zone, and two, this first retest area at 17400 up to 17500. And if we break above that, it's just going to tap into that area of supply. If we look on the right-hand side on the daily time frame, we can see that right where that zone is the wick for the previous daily candle. Most likely price, if we were to picture a daily candle in our minds, price is going to drive up, either respect that middle point right here, which would be a 50% retracement on the higher time frame, or most likely tap into that zone, which is the extreme end on the higher time frame. Now, if price breaks below the previous week's low, we may see a liquidity sweep and then price drive higher up into that supply zone. Not certain what's going to happen yet, if it's going to happen now or on a break of this previous week's low. But ultimately, we're targeting the 17100 price range down to 17005, and possibly even lower down to 1700 and 16800 price range. Ultimately, the NASDAQ 100 is pretty extended and has made a new all-time high last week and failed to break above and is now trending bearish. We would need to see another wick rejection, kind of make a double bottom type pattern in order for this to hold. Rejection, push, come down, and then we need to do that in order to continue higher. Otherwise, this is just going to keep trending bearish. Next, let's look at US 30 here. US 30 made a new all-time high last week as well. We swept. There's a lot of indecision in this area. Price pushed down, tapped off this level of support, broke its weekly low, and then moved higher. So as you can see, we made that all-time high. Price closed as a decently strong bullish candle, closed as a decently strong bullish candle. And ultimately, I'm still thinking price may extend further up to the 38800 price range up here, and possibly even the, what's going on here? One moment. drawing tools don't seem to be working for some reason. Let's just copy and move this. Oh, there's actually something not quite working here. Regular. It's not allowing me to mark up the chart. Okay, let's give this a refresh. And I'm not sure why that happened on all these charts here, but you know, looks like we're gonna have to do a refresh first before we can get into some of them. All right, so there's my zones that I was attempting to draw and copy. Okay, let's get rid of that. So yeah, ultimately seeing this 3880 price range still on target to potentially push further to, and possibly even the 4,000 price range all the way up here, 40,000 price range. Price could extend even further, but as of now, just targeting that first particular area at 3.8 up here, as we can see. Apologies for the chart not being totally aligned here, trying to get this reconciled so that everything matches up. Let's give this a good refresh one more time here. All right. 38800, 389, and then 40,000 up at that peak, potentially up here. It's quite a long ways to go, but you know, it may happen. So now what we need to see here for price to continue bullish, we need this daily candle to stay maintained. We cannot have this area be broken where this area of demand is. If so, price most likely is going to reverse and take out this previous week's low and possibly target 37600 to down to 37400, and possibly even down to this extreme area at 373, 371 price range, where this area of demand is, as you can see down here. If we zoom out some and go to the weekly time frame, you can see that if that previous week's low gets broken, there is a major area for price to retrace down to, which would be this first zone and this extreme zone down here. So that's significant movement. That's around 400 points from the current price point here to here, 400 at the 376, and then all the way down to 371 would be 900 points. So overall, we have a large potential bearish move coming up if price breaks below that area. However, we may see extended further bullish price action, but we would need to break above the all-time high currently, and then price may continue to extend. Otherwise, I'm looking at the US 30 to possibly retrace and break its previous week's low. But as of current, we have an open with a top wick. Price is just moving bearish, and ultimately I would expect some type of bullish reaction first before price just completely moving bearish all week long. Next, let's look at CAD JPY here. Wonder if I need. So far, price is looking exactly how we analyzed earlier today. Ultimately, I'm thinking that price may break above the 2023 highs, targeting 110.5, where we're currently at, and then up to 1100. Beyond that point, there's a pretty clear range all the way up to 112, 114, and 115. If we zoom out and go to the weekly time frame here, you'll be able to see what I'm saying. As you can see, last week, major bearish candle rejection, pushed up, closed bearish, although made a higher low point. We may continue to extend further, as you can see on this intraday time frame here. Rejection from the zone, previous resistance, retested higher low, liquidity sweep here on the intraday time frame, and then continued higher and looking to break this area of resistance and continue extending further. When we zoom out some on the right hand side on this weekly time frame, you can see that there is quite literally nothing after we get above this 2023 high, and there's just this clean range for price to push up to. But yeah, ultimately seeing bullish continuation for CAD JPY, and would expect for prices to break above the 2023 high at 111, Is that 111.171? Should break above that point and continue to extend further. Ultimately, a potential good setup could look like this, depending where entry point is. Now this is particularly risky as the weekly low may not be set yet. You're going based off of this intraday higher low point in the middle of the trend, but it still could definitely work out. But you would definitely target our first area at 110.5, which would be a little over 1-to-1 risk to reward, 110.5, and then could extend further up to 111.2, which is the 2023 all-time. Not all-time high. 2023 high. So make it a 3.5 hour trade, and the overall risk would be 30 pips, 33 pips on this 1 hour higher low point stop loss for a total of potentially 35 to 105 pip move. So yeah, overall a 1-to-1 to a little over 3.5 hour trade. Not too bad of a setup, especially if price continues to extend as it looks like it is. So you need to trade along with the trend unless shown otherwise. So as of now, price is looking strong and may continue further. Now this is where we're going to move on to our cryptocurrency pairs. We're just going to cover Bitcoin real quick and XRP, and then I will quickly touch base on this particular blockchain stock that I've been looking at. I will be making a video on that, so I won't be going into too many specifics like the fundamentals or too much on the return on investment, things like that, but we'll definitely mention it and show kind of why I'm looking at it. So here we are, Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin has rejected from this high that it made at 48,750 about 2 weeks ago when the Bitcoin ETFs were launched. We've got to refresh this too. All right, came back up. This to me looks like the start of the bearish trend. That was the first initial clean move, clean push, kind of to retest that 40K point. Now we have overshot it a little bit, and I'm still thinking we're just going to continue driving lower. I'm going to zoom out and go back to this weekly time frame. We have this major area that price is looking to retest at 34,000, 35,000 price point. And then beyond that, we may even continue down lower to the 25,000 price point. You know, there's a clear range here. You know, 30K is the first major key level that we broke above to get to this point. So it's looking likely that price may come back and respect at least 30K, but most likely is going to push lower, as that's just how it is in this market. It pushes to the extreme points, and ultimately $25,000 is relatively low, and that would be from this particular price point, be a 40% decline. If we hit 30,000, that'd be a little less than a 30% decline, and this first area at 35,000 would be a little more than a 15% decline. So that's very realistic, especially for this particular market and how these assets move. Highly volatile and can kind of just move on a whim, you know, when there's a lot of momentum and pressure and market news or whatever the case is. Price does move as there's a lot of emotion involved, you know, in this particular market. Panic sellers, you know, for lack of a better term. That's what's going to drive the price lower. But yeah, ultimately still seeing Bitcoin moving lower. A good potential setup could look as such. Get in here. Potential stop loss at 44,000, just right above the highs, and could just target 35,000 as your first point. Could be just a little bit of over a 2R trade setup here. Next, we're going to be looking at XRP. Now, last week I was saying XRP is looking particularly bearish, and as you can see, it is. On the weekly time frame here, we can see that last week we closed a strong bearish candle. We're right on this major trend line that I had drawn up last week for the previous week's analysis. I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago. Last week I did not do one, so 2 weeks ago, and we can see price is now at that point. Ultimately, this trend line is going to break. There's lots of bearish pressure here, and we're just going to continue trending lower. Now, this would have been a good setup to take. This was just an example when I did this analysis 2 weeks ago, but as you can see, this trade would be in a good profit. There would have been literally no drawdown and just moved in our favor. So should definitely been more attentive and executed on this one. This one is a good one. As you can see, we have a lot of good confluence, a lot of good reasons for this trade to continue lower. We have these wick rejections here, broke below support, closed below this support at 57 cents, and ultimately looking like it's going to move lower down to this 35-cent point, 35-cent point. First point's 40 cents, but ultimately I believe price is going to be driven to 30 cents. Now this could make for a potential good short-term trade setup, especially if you stay below 50 cents, or once we break below 50 cents again, there's going to be a lot of momentum, a lot of sell stop orders being triggered in order for the market to move lower. So as you can see, this is a good setup that I'm particularly seeing right now. We could or may possibly take this and just ride this down to either 40 cents or down to 35 cents. For us long-term investors and holders for this particular coin, buying below 50 cents is a very good price. That'd be very undervalued. And buying at 35 cents and 30 cents would be just an absolutely great deal. So ultimately, I'm still going to be buying this pair 50 cents and below. But for the short term, price looking to move lower. Once we hit that point, we may rebound from there and start that bull run that everyone is, well, not everyone, but the crypto enthusiasts and traders and investors are anticipating. And similarly with Bitcoin, once price may push to that 25,000 point, we may rebound from there and continue higher, or we could drive a little bit lower. But ultimately, across the board in the crypto market, there needs to be, or it seems to be, there may be one more major decline before we start seeing that overall bull run once again, the overall bull market. All right, lastly, we're going to go over ARGO blockchain. This is just a blockchain stock that I had particularly researched, and to me this looks highly undervalued and it has a lot of potential for return on investment here, and goes hand in hand when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Since they are Bitcoin miners, their return and revenue is going to be based on the returns they get from solving all the Bitcoin transactions, and when Bitcoin's price increases, their revenue increases based on the mining rewards that they're receiving for processing the Bitcoin transactions on the blockchain. So as of right now, revenues aren't as high due to Bitcoin price not being what it once was. However, price currently is very undervalued. We can see that it's at $2.29 currently. I have been buying this stock. I initially bought it at $2, between $2 and $1.90. Let's go down to the weekly time frame. We could see that after 2 weeks ago, it rebounded, and this past week here, we have some bullish price action starting to form. The prior month, which is right here for December, this little gap, draw this as the zone real quick, this candle here, this is the start of December, and December had a wild month of 280% in this blue zone here. We can see that, 240%. Very, very strong move for this particular stock. Now price has since retraced from that point, that 240% move at $4.45. We've since come back down, retraced an overall 63% before moving higher, and where I had bought in was a good discount at around 55% off from that previous high. And now currently from that point, we are just at 48% below where we fell from. So now last week price rebounded 20% from this particular price point. So for those who bought low, already up pretty good. And as you can see, yeah, this was a 30% candle just last week. But ultimately, those who bought low already in a decent position here. Price is still relatively low from where it may go to. ultimately price is looking may hit $4, $4.50, and then could potentially extend up to $6 and $7, which would be from the entry point at $1.90, $2 is a potential 130% return on investment and 200 to 260% return on investment, depending on what price you enter at and where you get in, how you manage your risk, how you dollar cost average, where you take profits at, so on and so forth. But ultimately, price looking relatively low compared to where it can go to its relative highs, and ultimately, I'm looking to exit this particular stock if price breaks below 90 cents. Below the $1 is where I'm looking to keep a close eye on it, but below this 90-cent point where this red zone is, right here is where I will be exiting. So far, this looks like a major push-up, retracement higher low, and just may continue trending higher up until here. And if we break past that point here and possibly even further up to those price points, price used to be at, during its IPO, shortly after its IPO, at $21 a share. So if we ever recover to that point, we're seeing significant return on investments here. But ultimately, I will make a video about this particular stock and go over its fundamentals, go over the books, go over why the price has gone down, and go over the overall positive and negative outlook on this particular stock. But to me, this looks like a great opportunity to buy low and sell high, despite the fundamentals and what the overall books are showing. This to me looks like a potential great investment for the short term to medium term. But that's all I have for you guys this weekend. Stay tuned. I will have more videos coming up here shortly, like I just mentioned. If you have not joined my Telegram, feel free to click the link in the video description. That there contains my free Telegram channel. Feel free to send me a DM. I will be happy to help you out. And if you are already not following my Instagram channels or TikTok, it is Build a Trader at Bat Signals and at Build a Trader on TikTok as well. Links are in the video description. Hope you guys have a great weekend and take care. Peace.